Welcome to People Pleasers Anonymous. I'm Sam, and I'm a people pleaser. No, but in all seriousness, hello. Welcome back to Literally Dying. I am very excited. Episode 2 of the podcast. Sorry that this is going up a few days late. If you are subscribed to my YouTube channel and you saw I posted on the community tab thing that I was having some issues, I actually recorded this episode a couple weeks ago and I was editing it the other night and I don't know. I think my mood was just off that day and I was kind of all over the place, but not in a good way, in a completely just lost the whole point of the episode, and it was just not, I don't know. I just got really, I don't know, I was feeling kind of salty, and I just decided to scrap it and re-record. So, yeah, sorry it's going up a little late, but, I think moving forward, I'm going to try to figure out a better schedule so that I can kind of batch record things and then have the episodes ready to go before the day that they're supposed to go live so that I won't end up missing episodes, so you guys can get some kind of consistency from me. That's one thing. I have a very hard time. That's why I have my own business and I work for myself and I don't do a 9 to 5 because I have a hard time being consistent with things. Anyway, but I'm so happy about the feedback that you guys gave me for the first episode. You guys seem to really be loving it and enjoying it, and that makes me really happy. One quick little thing, if you are watching the video version, which, by the way, just little reminder, these podcasts, the video is going to go up on my regular YouTube channel, and then I also have an audio version, so if you want to just follow the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can do so. Leave me a rating, 5-star review. I would appreciate that very, very much. But yeah, for the video version, in the first episode, I just had the TV up behind me, the way it normally is, because I filmed this in my salon suite. And I know a lot of you guys most people were like, oh, who cares? The blank TV is fine. A lot of people suggested putting up my logo or something on the screen. I need to play around and figure out how to do that. But I figured the easiest, quickest thing for me to do would just be to take the TV down real quick and just put up some decor that I have in other places in the suite. And we can kind of swap it out maybe, with the seasons. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm sure most of you don't care. It's, I know it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But there's that. Oh, I also wanted to let you know that I have an email for the podcast. It's literallydyingpodcast@gmail.com. And dying, again, is spelled DYEING. So literallydyingpodcast@gmail.com. That is the place where you can send me whatever. Not whatever. Please don't send me any dick pics, but anything for the podcast, any stories that you'd like to share with me, any kind of prompts. If I'm submit this to me, that's where you can send it to that email. So, trying to think if there was anything else, any other housekeeping things that I needed to mention. I don't think so. So, let's get into this week's episode. We are talking about people pleasing and what I have learned about myself, bad tendencies I have when it comes to being a people pleaser, and what I'm trying to do to get better about it, to kind of establish better boundaries for my own sanity, honestly. So I have, now looking back, I realize I've always kind of been a people pleaser. And I don't know exactly where that stems from. I think that my mom is definitely a people pleaser. So maybe just, growing up and kind of seeing her and her personality being the way it is, probably rubbed off on me. And once I got into the beauty industry, that's when I really realized, like, okay, like I realized this about myself, and I was like, okay, I need to do something about this, because I can't keep being this way, because all that's going to happen is I'm going to end up getting taken advantage of, and I'm going to get burnt out, and I'm going to be miserable and stressed, and then just in a bad mood and pissed off. And I don't want to become this like really cold, rigid, mean, angry person. And I know this is something that a lot of people can relate to, but I think that especially working in the beauty industry or healthcare, any kind of field where you are providing a service for people, or you're doing something to help people, other humans, I think that like we get into these fields, right, because it brings us joy to make other people feel good and to please other people, make them happy. And what I have realized, because it's hard to find that balance, right, where you do want to do nice things for people, but not in a way where you're just completely getting taken advantage of and you're just like doing too much to the point where then you start to feel burnt out or resentful. But I've realized that by wanting to please everyone and doing things, especially if it's something that is making me feel uncomfortable, or I'm like going against my own personal boundaries just to like make somebody else happy, all that ends up doing is negatively affecting myself. And then I have no one else to be mad at. Like, I can't even be mad at the person that's like taking advantage of my kindness and my desire to please, because ultimately it's me that's making the decision. Like, I could just say no. That's all I need to do is put my foot down and say no. I've definitely had many situations throughout my life, and definitely throughout my career of doing hair, where I've ended up in a situation where, I felt like I was getting taken advantage of, or I was just put in these uncomfortable situations. And it all just stemmed from like me wanting to be chill. I think that's a big part of it too, is like, not only do I genuinely like making people happy, but I'm a pretty easygoing person. So I always will say to myself, like, well, it's not a big deal. Like, what's the big deal? It's fine. But then something that can start out as no big deal can then eventually turn into something bigger. And what I found is there are certain personality types that they will take advantage. And it might start out by you just doing something small, like not a huge deal. It is outside of your boundaries, but it still doesn't feel like a huge deal. It's like, I can make an exception, whatever, it's fine. But they'll start by taking an inch, and the next thing you know, they're taking miles. And it's like, it just ends up getting out of hand. And the more you let someone get away with things, the harder it becomes to eventually then put your foot down, right? Whereas if you just establish your boundaries from the very beginning and say no right from the very beginning, then they kind of know, like, oh, okay, well, I can't take advantage of this person. I can't get away with things with this person. As opposed to you allowing like bad behavior, so to speak, over and over and over and over. And then you get to a point where you are so angry and you're so frustrated with this person. And then it just becomes a bigger thing than it needs to be. And I thought that talking about this topic is kind of the perfect time to tell you the story about the client that I had to fire recently, because it actually was the only client that I've ever had to fire in the last 8 years since I've been doing hair professionally. And it was a very uncomfortable situation. And all of this was dragged out over over a year altogether, from like the very first time that I met this person up until I finally had to send the text to cut them off and just, end our working relationship together, was over a year. And during that time, there was just a lot of stress, and it was something that some people would probably look at and be like, well, what's the big deal? But for my people pleasers, and especially like my more introverted people, it's scary. It's like, I don't know why. It just, I don't know. It's hard to be direct and confrontational with someone and really put your foot down, especially when they have the type of personality that they just want to keep taking advantage and keep pushing your boundaries. So, let's talk about that, and then talk about, what I've been kind of doing moving forward, because I think I'm definitely getting better. I mean, clearly I'm not there yet, right? Because this whole story I'm about to tell you is stuff that happened still recently. But I know compared to like when I first started out, working in salons, I've gotten so much better. And since opening my own business, I've done quite a few things that have kind of helped lay the groundwork for me to make it easier, so that I'm not even putting myself in situations where I need to have like the uncomfortable confrontational moments. And, I won't even have to deal with people pushing my boundaries and overstepping and that sort of thing. So we'll talk about how I'm doing that too. So I met this client a little over a year ago. And at the time, I was not in my own place. So I was working in a salon. It was a commission salon. So I didn't have as much control, obviously, as I do now that I'm in my own place, working for myself. As I'm my own boss. I get to make all the rules. I can literally do whatever I want. I can turn away whomever I want, whatever services I don't want to do, I don't have to do. But at this other salon, I was at a place too where I was desperately trying to grow my clientele, and there were kind of these boundaries in the way. If you saw or listened to the first episode, sort of what the situation was at that place. I had limited availability, and I was just, I don't know. I was kind of desperate for clients, and also I put a lot of pressure on myself to say yes to things and to people that felt like it would be a challenge, just to kind of like prove myself. So I had this new client reach out to me on Instagram, and it's funny because I look back, I was actually just looking at like the original messages that she had sent me, and it's very clear now that there were so many red flags. And I think even in the moment, I picked up on that. I was kind of getting the vibe. But again, I was desperate. And I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. I ignored all of the red flags, which I really try not to do now when a new client reaches out. So yeah, she came in and I did her hair. She originally came in for just a consultation first. And we talked for a very long time and really went in depth. And she was coming in for a color correction, technically. She had technically like dark blonde, but it kind of was like a really dark, ashy, kind of dirty blonde that like sort of looks brown, like a level 6 natural color. And then she had blonde on her ends, but she hadn't had her hair done in like over 6 months. So literally the entire top half of her hair was just her natural color. And then from like maybe like the top of her ears down was this really yellow, brassy blonde. And there was like a very harsh line, very disconnected, was not great. And she told me during the consultation how she had been to so many salons around here because she was living in New York City for many years, and she recently had to move back down to this town. And since being back here, she's gone to several different people, hasn't been able to find a stylist that like, you know, lives up to the expectations or what she's used to getting in New York, which it's funny because I'm like, when she first reached out too, she was like immediately just like name dropping these big time stylists and talking about, oh, I used to go to so-and-so at this celebrity hair salon. She was rated by Allure the best colorist 4 years in a row. Like literally said this to me when first reaching out. And I right there and then immediately should have been like, I'm not even going to respond to this person. Because it's weird. Like the name dropping is just like feels weird and unnecessary, but also that's a lot to like live up to. And if you can afford to be going to those kind of stylists and those kinds of salons, get yourself a $150 plane ticket and go back up to New York when you need to go get your hair done. Like anyway, this is like a small, it's not even, we're not in a big city, you know, like, come on. And I feel very confident in my color skills, but still, like, that's a lot of pressure. So, yeah, she had very high expectations, but everything we talked about, I felt like, oh, yeah, I mean, this is what I can do. I don't want to say stalked, but she like definitely did her research. She looked through my Instagram, saw my work, was reading all my reviews, like really did her due diligence. And she was familiar with my work. She saw what I do and chose to come to me. And we talked about how, you know, she just wanted something like really soft that would grow out nicely, no harsh lines, no foil lines, organic, blended. One big concern that she had was that other stylists that she had went to, they would not be detailed. So like if they were doing the hairline, like they wouldn't get the full hairline, and which I see all the time. You know, it's very common. Like there's certain areas, especially towards the back of the head, that not, you know, some stylists will just kind of like skip certain spots because I guess they think, you know, you don't really see those areas, so it's not as important, and it saves time, it saves product. I don't know. But I am very detail oriented, so I really pay attention to those areas because, you know, and I always ask my clients like, well, how do you wear your hair normally? Because if you wear it half up a lot, then you have to think about, okay, what's going to be exposed when they're wearing their hair like that in all these different styles. So, you know, anyway, very detailed consultation. And I felt confident going into the first appointment that I knew what she wanted and that what she was asking for was exactly the kind of thing that I do all of the time. And it was a color correction because she had so much grow out. And so there's different things to consider because, you have to be a little more meticulous with your application and with the formula. I had, 2 different formulas because I had to address like the brassy ends, but then, that's going to lift differently, obviously, than like the virgin hair and all of that. Making sure that I'm blending, but also keeping the hair healthy and doing a lot. Like, it's a big transformation all at once. And she had a lot of hair. And so immediately, though, right off the bat, there was already like first thing that I kind of did. And during the time that I have had, all the encounters I've had with this client, I felt very frustrated. And in the moment, I would feel angry and annoyed and frustrated with her. But when I stop and reflect, I only have myself to be mad at, because I'm the one that put myself in this situation and that said yes to things that I didn't want to say yes to, things that made me feel uncomfortable, but I just did it anyway, just to, be a people pleaser, keep the peace, make it just be accommodating and chill. So she was like, oh, I need Olaplex in my hair. Like, past stylists, they always use Olaplex on me. I need Olaplex. Do you have it? Do you use it? If you don't have it, I'm happy to get some and bring it with me for you to use on my hair. At that salon, and if you don't know, Olaplex, they do have like retail products, so I'm sure most of you are familiar somewhat with them, but they also have a professional only. It's like what they originally started out as. This professional only product, you mix it into your lightener or your color in the salon, and then there's like a second step that you follow up with, and you put it on the hair. And what it does is it's a bond builder, bond repairer. So while bleach or color is going through the hair strand and it's like breaking down the bonds, this is going back through and it's just kind of like rebuilding. So it helps to keep your hair strong and healthy, especially hair that has already been, very compromised. It's just helping to avoid further potential damage. It's something that I use. I have it here in my salon suite, but personally, I have found with experience, because I've used it even way before I went to cosmetology school, I just find that it's not totally necessary on everyone. Like, if their hair is already healthy to start with, I am never going to do something that's like so damaging if the hair is already healthy, especially, that I need that. I always use low developer, minimal heat, like that's just my style of doing things. So I have it, but I really only use it for people that like their hair is already kind of damaged to begin with, and there's like kind of a risk and it's a gamble, and I just need it as like extra insurance. But for the average person, and for like this client in particular, I didn't think it was necessary to use it. At the salon I was at, we didn't even have it there anyway. So it wasn't an option for me to use it. So, and I did tell her, so I guess I kind of like established a little bit of a boundary. I was like, no, I don't feel comfortable with you getting it, because she's not a professional, so I don't know where she would be getting it from. Who knows if it's the real thing? This is something, oh my God, you have to think about when you are a professional. I mean, I guess in any field where you're using product, anything with chemicals in it, you cannot allow a client to bring their own stuff for you to use on them, because you never know what it is. Maybe with makeup it's a little different, but with like hair color or anything like that, no. Because God forbid she gets this Olaplex. I don't know where it's coming from. Again, she doesn't have a license, so I know she's not ordering it like directly from the brand. Like, absolute worst case scenario, what if there is something in it, it's not even what it's supposed to be, and there's something in it that creates a chemical reaction and then all her hair falls out? Or like it burns her scalp or something like that, you know? That would then be on me. I would be liable for that. So it's just not worth the risk. And I've had clients that, you know, they're like, oh, can I bring this color to you? Or can I bring, you know, this is what my old stylist used to use. Can I bring? No. That is one thing that I really, in the beginning, when I first started out doing hair, I probably would have been like, oh, okay, sure. This is what you want me to do. I'll do that for you. No, I do put my foot down with that because you just never know, and it is not worth the risk. But yeah, I told her that I don't feel comfortable with you getting the Olaplex, but I have Olaplex at home in my personal stash that I'll bring in and I'll use that on you. And I should not have done that because that's just not the standard. That's not part of our policy. Because especially, like, I was commissioned at that salon, and the way it worked was I only made a certain percentage on all of the services I do because all of the product is provided by the salon. So by me using product that I've purchased, it just, like, I'm losing out now. Like, it's just not fair. And it wasn't a huge deal, right? Like, well, I already have it. I bought it a while ago. It's not a huge deal. I can just bring that in and just use it on. No. It's the principle of the thing. This is not my friend. This is not someone that, like, oh, I've known her forever. Like, let me do you a favor. No, I literally am just meeting you for the first time. Why am I doing this? I should have said, no, I'm sorry, we don't use Olaplex here. I don't feel comfortable with you bringing it in. If it's that important to you, then I'm sorry, you're going to have to just go somewhere else. And I think, you know, by doing that too, that kind of puts me in a bit of a, you know, more powerful position. It's kind of like puffing my chest out a little bit, like, no, this is how it works. I'm the one in charge here. You're coming to me for a service, so I'm going to set the rules here and set the tone. Rather than being like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, I can do that for you. Let me find any possible way to, like, go above and beyond. But again, I was desperate. And I know it's tough when you are trying to build a clientele because, and like, I'm speaking obviously just thinking about, like, personal experiences, but hopefully you can kind of take what I'm saying and relate it to whatever field you work in or even just your personal life, right? Because even for people that aren't maybe as much of a people pleaser as some of us might be, you definitely encounter scenarios where you have someone that's, like, asking you to do things that are, like, outside of your boundaries, you know, or, like, something that you're not really comfortable with. So hopefully you can, you know, take it and make it apply to your life in whatever way it does. But when you are first trying to grow a clientele and you're really just desperate and hungry for clients, and, like, you got to make money, right? So you want to do whatever you can to get people in your chair and to make them want to keep coming back to you. But I promise, people that are going to take advantage of you and that are going to be like, oh, like, you know, like, not respect your boundaries and your policies and be like, oh, well, you don't want to go above and beyond and, like, make an exception and bend the rules for me. So I'm not going to go to you then. You don't want those people anyway. You really don't. I've had this conversation with my boyfriend, with this client in particular, especially, we've talked about it. And he very much has the mindset of like, money is money. So like, even if this person drives you crazy and makes you stressed out, but like, just don't let them stress you out and just keep taking them anyway. And I'm like, no. In my opinion, it's not worth it. No amount of money is worth your peace and your sanity. Okay? And as we go on with the story, I'll tell you exactly why. Because you end up losing out more and it just doesn't end up being worth it. But yeah, you don't want those kind of clients anyway. And all it's going to do is end up making you stressed. And then you're going to end up with these people that like you end up resenting. And it's going to make you hate your job. So it's hard though. I mean, obviously, I've been there. And you just have to think about like, what is the long-term consequence going to be of this? And is this going to be worth it in the long term? Because yeah, maybe right now in the moment, okay, cool, I'm going to get a client. I'll get to make money. But do you think that they're going to continue giving you problems later on down the line? If so, it's not worth it. It is not worth it. So yeah, the Olaplex thing, I was like, oh, I'll bring some from home. Shouldn't have done that. Just because like, it wasn't a huge deal, right? Technically, but still, I think it set the tone. That was like the first step of me bending the rules and making exceptions, which, I shouldn't have done. Anyway, so we do this thorough consultation. I'm feeling good about what she's asking for. Seems pretty straightforward to me. So when she comes in for her actual appointment, I ended up, I spent like 5 to 6 hours doing her hair. And the entire time, I'm having to pull certain foils out quickly. It's not like there's downtime. I don't double book. So like I'm working on her that entire time. Little to no downtime for processing, because once I finish foiling, then I start pulling out the first section and, I'm reapplying in some areas, that whole thing. I remember actually the shirt that I was wearing that day. I love that shirt. And it was such like a messy ordeal because of everything I had to do and all the amount of bleach I had to use, that I got bleach stains all over the sleeves of that shirt. And I still have the shirt, but now I have these bleach stains, and like, you can't take bleach stains and you can't do anything about it. And so every time I see that shirt and I see those bleach stains, it just triggers me and it reminds me of this whole thing. But yeah, I'm working hard, but I'm excited. I'm feeling good about the whole thing. So I finish her hair, and she just immediately is like, saying that, oh, it's not right. There's things that need to be fixed. And, during the consultation, which again was very long, very thorough, we talked about how she needs a lot done to her hair. And so we'll get a lot done after the first appointment, but then it might take a second session to really like fine tune the details. And if she comes in regularly for maintenance and doesn't wait, 6 months to a year again between appointments, it'll keep getting better and better each time. And as I get to know her and her hair and how her hair lifts and what she likes and what all of those things, like, it's a working relationship. It's not always just like a one and done kind of thing, especially when you have someone that's like very particular, sometimes it takes a couple appointments to really get it like 100% perfectly spot on to what they want. But considering where she was starting, it was incredible. It was an amazing transformation. And like, I'm not just saying that because I'm the one who did it. Like it objectively was like, oh wow, it looked really nice. It was blended. It was even. It was soft. It was beautiful. It was very blonde, which is what she wanted, you know? But then she starts telling me, you know, there's like all these other little detail things that she didn't tell me during the consultation, or like, I guess wasn't specific enough about, or I just misunderstood, whatever. So she is like, I need to come back. We have to fix this. And not to be overly sensitive, but there is power in words. And fix, like, oh, we have to fix this. This is not good. That is implying like, oh, something is messed up. Something is wrong here. Not like, oh, we need to do more. We need to add to, or we need to tweak, or, you know, it's like, I don't know. And I think after you spend so much time and you're so tired by the end of it, right? Because it's like, that's a lot of work to be on your feet and to be like nonstop for like 5 to 6 hours, and freaking bleach stains all over, and I'm all oily and sweaty and just a freaking mess. And I'm excited, and I'm like, oh, you know, to spin her around and get her reaction. And then just immediately it's just negative and like, oh, we need to fix this. I need to come back. It's like, all right, what did I just spend all that time for? Like the amount of time that took me, and like the money I'm making from it, which especially when you're commissioned and, you know, like it was not worth it for me, quite frankly. But like I could have just did other standard appointments, just basic, simple stuff where I could have took a break during like while the color processed, and, you know, like it just, yeah, it was a real bummer, especially when you go into it feeling so confident and you think like, oh yeah, like the result is perfect. It's spot on. So you think, to what was discussed during the consultation and all of that. And then also like you have your coworkers standing around, especially in a place where like you feel like you're, you know, trying to kind of prove yourself and you're like the outlier kind of. And now you have somebody that's like, I don't want to say making a scene, because that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but she wasn't like quiet or trying to spare my feelings at all. You know what I mean? And also during that appointment too, there were just other things going on that were like kind of setting off alerts in my brain, like a lot of red flag things that I was just like, I don't know that this is someone that I want as a client moving forward, honestly. And I kind of saw it coming. Like, even though I thought like, oh, her hair looks great and this is, I think, what she was expecting and what she wanted. But I also was kind of picking up throughout the appointment of like, oh, she's one of those people that like, I don't think no matter what, I don't think she's going to be happy. And especially because we're not in New York and I'm not, like, I think, you know, some people are just very caught up on names and status and, you know what I mean? So if they have someone that's like, oh, I'm a celebrity stylist, no matter what they do to their hair, they're going to love it and think it's the most amazing, beautiful perfection, you know? So anyway, she came back for a second appointment, and, you know, again, I should have at that moment been like, I don't think a second appointment is going to do anything. I don't know that it's necessary. I feel like I don't know what it is that you're looking for, because I thought this was it. Clearly it's not. We're not understanding each other. I don't know, but she insisted on coming back, and she did say that she would pay and just, book it as another appointment rather than trying to come in and as an adjustment. So I was like, okay, well, let's give it a second try and see how it goes. And I regret doing that. But in the moment, I was like, how do I tell this person, no, you're not coming back anymore, Especially, again, when, it's not my salon. So anyway, she came back in for a second appointment, and the second one was a little bit better, but, I was very nervous. I was dreading it, and I was so nervous going into it, and I felt so uncomfortable, and I don't like that feeling. I don't want to ever feel that way. I keep trying to tell myself, when you get that feeling, it's not the right fit. I, as the stylist, should be the one in control, and I should feel confident, and I should feel good about what I'm doing. And yeah, of course, we're going to consult and talk about what the goal is and what the process is going to look like and all of that. But once I get started, I should be doing what I feel comfortable with, what I think is best, what I normally would do on any other person, right? Because I'm supposed to be the one that's in control. I'm the one that's doing the service. But it felt very micromanagey. Even during the first appointment, she was kind of telling me what to do, what she wanted, but how she wanted it done. And I did not like that. I didn't feel like I was in control, and there were things that she was asking, but sort of kind of demanding that I do that didn't feel natural to me. And so I was doing it just to make her happy, but it wasn't what I thought was best. And she wouldn't trust the process. So anyway, second appointment, she was telling me stories, and she's just, I don't know, the way she's speaking and the things she's saying and the words she's using was also just not, it just felt really inappropriate. She, multiple times throughout, the few appointments I've had with her, she just casually loves to use the derogatory FAGGOT word when talking about gay men. And that to me is just, it's not appropriate in a salon when you're in public and when you're with someone that you don't have you don't know me. I don't know that this person is necessarily racist or homophobic or anything like that, but she just was very comfortable using words that are not, I don't know. Just, there was just a lot, there was a lot going on that I was like, this is not a client that I want. But anyway, I did the second appointment, and at the end of that, and again, I'm doing things even more so the second time around that just did not feel right to me. And it's hard because as a hairstylist, you want your client, obviously, to love their hair. And I always tell all of my clients, even if I love something and I think something looks good, or even if it just objectively is good hair, it's good color, but that doesn't matter if you don't love it on you, because it's your hair. You have to live with it every day. It's on your head. You need to feel good about it and love how it looks, because if you don't, what's the point, right? So you want them to love it and be happy with it, but within reason, because your clients are also walking billboards for you. And so if you have people out there that, yeah, even if they like it and maybe a few other people like it, but if you don't feel like it aligns with your brand and your style, then you have the right to not do that. Yeah, there were things that she wanted me to do, like around her hairline. You know, she said that she wanted that all bright and filled in. But the goal is that everything needed to be blended and dimensional, not just a solid color. So I did that. I went around the whole hairline and it was very blendy and soft, but bright. No, that wasn't enough. She wanted me to literally just do like solid all around her hairline, basically. I don't know. Honestly, it's still unclear to me because after several appointments with this person, everything that she said was just so contradictory. And it's like she was asking for things that just were not like physically possible. And maybe it's just that I wasn't understanding what she was expecting or what she's looking for. But I think considering that she's been to so many other stylists, because even in between appointments I had with her, she tried going elsewhere and still was not getting what she wanted. So I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm doing like just solid all around her hairline, and it just, to me, it just did not look good. It did not look good. But that's what she specifically was asking me to do. And then by the end of the second appointment, she seemed to love it. Or so she claimed. Like, she was finally happy and that was what she wanted. And she was like, yes, thank you, finally. Like, I'm so glad that I found you. I finally got what I wanted and what I've been looking for and blah, blah, blah. And she even ended up giving me a hug and was like apologizing for being like a little more difficult and whatever. And, you know, was telling me like she had stuff going on in her personal life and whatever. And I, in that moment, felt bad because I was so ready. Like, I told myself, okay, if she's still not happy with it after this second appointment, then you have to just tell her that it's not a good fit and that there's nothing more you can do for her. But then, of course, she at least acted like she loved it and it was perfect, and then is apologizing to me and whatever, which, you know, looking back now, I'm like, was that like purposeful? Like, was she trying to be manipulative? I don't know. But, yeah, so of course then, you know, I felt bad. And even though the whole thing was very stressful and I was like, I don't want to go through that anymore. Like, I don't think this is someone that I want moving forward as a client. But then I also felt guilty and I felt kind of bad. And I was like, maybe I'm being too harsh. I've also had situations in the past where I get a new client and they don't necessarily make the best first impression. And I kind of get a weird vibe from them and I'm not sure if we're going to be a good fit, and they like are questioning things I'm doing and they're just, I don't know, it seems I'm unsure about them. But then after they learn to trust me and we get to know each other, it ends up being great. Like, I've had some clients, I had one lady actually years ago when I was still in Pennsylvania that the first couple of appointments, I was like, I don't know how I feel about her. Like, she just doesn't seem like she trusts me. She's very like scared and, I don't know. It was just like a weird, not a great impression. She ended up being one of my best clients, like one of my favorites, super loyal, so much so that I live now down in North Carolina, 600 miles away. She came to my salon suite from Pennsylvania. She came all the way down here while she wasn't even in the area. She was a few hours away, but in the state visiting family. And she came to see me because she was like, nobody can cut my hair the way you do. And so I think about her, and you know, I've had some other clients too where kind of similar, where you maybe don't know how you feel about them at first, or, you know, you kind of get off on the wrong foot, but then they end up being great. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this is going to be like that. So anyway, fast forward several months, I'm in my salon suite now. She reaches out to just get a haircut. I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't know. Should I take her, or should I, like, but also, what do I say? I can't be like, oh, sorry, I'm not taking new clients, because I am taking new clients, and I'm actively every day promoting myself and posting about, because like now I'm in my own place and I need to fill my books. Like, I'm not fully booked or anywhere close to it yet. So like, I don't even know how I could tell her no without, I don't know. So she came in for a haircut, and I don't know, it still was like, I still just felt uncomfortable. It was the same feeling of like, I'm not the one in control here. Then, you know, like, she came in for a cut, but wanted to talk about her hair color, and we ended up going over the time of her appointment because she just would not let me interject and stop her so that I could shampoo her hair so I could start the haircut, like things like that. And again, she was just saying things that felt very contradictory to me. I don't know. And again, in that moment, you know, I should have told her, hey, listen, I'm going to do your haircut, but the things that you're saying, and I remember in that moment, like, I was trying to kind of put my foot down a little bit and be like, no, that's not how this works. Like, that doesn't work that way. You can't have these two things because they are contradictory to each other. But she like would not, just wouldn't respect what I was saying, basically. And so I should have said, I'm not going to do your color because you're not respecting what I'm telling you, and I clearly am not understanding what it is that you're wanting and expecting. She admitted to me that after the second time I did her hair, there were still little things that she ended up noticing after she went home, that it wasn't perfectly exactly what she wanted. It was close, but still not right. So she ended up going to a few other people because she like tried to get in with me, and I was able to kind of stall a little bit and be like, oh, I don't have anything available this week. So she ended up going to like 2 or 3 other people, still wasn't happy with her hair. And so she kept, I don't want to say harassing, but like, you know, kept kind of trying to get in with me. So finally I was like, all right, I think at this point, I kind of am understanding what she's asking for, and I'm just going to do what I think is best. And if she's still not happy with it, then that's it. You know, three strikes and you're out kind of thing. And again, I don't know why I kept even allowing this and saying yes to it when my instincts were screaming at me like, no, this is not going to be good. So anyway, I let her come in for a 3rd color appointment. And I had the whole day blocked out for her because I know how she is. And I knew that I needed to be like very, very detailed, and I wanted to really give this like 200%. Why would I give her more than what I would give to like a standard color appointment, you know? But whatever, had the whole day just to make sure I wasn't going to be like running behind or anything or feel rushed. And that was another thing too. Like, she had even kind of requested or suggested like, oh, you know, I have a lot of hair and it takes a while, so make sure you have extra time for me. So I spend a long time foiling her hair. I am being as detailed as I can possibly be. And the entire time she's here, I just feel so uncomfortable because of the things that she's saying. She's talking about politics and saying, like, making comments about the show. I had Emily in Paris on the TV, and she's making comments about characters in the show, using the F word again. Like, that's just not the energy that I want in my suite. My little room here is so sacred to me, and the vibes are just calm and peaceful and safe. I don't want that energy in here. And anyway, so the whole time I'm so uncomfortable. Also, the whole time, like leading up to that appointment, like for at least a week or so leading up to it, I was so anxious. My anxiety, like it was just constant, where I could just feel like my heart was just racing all the time. I was just dreading it and feeling nervous, and I was thinking about like, what am I going to do when she comes in? What kind of placement am I going to do? What am I going to do like for her hair? And then also playing out different scenarios of like, what am I going to say to her if she still ends up unhappy? You know, how am I going to handle this? Lo and behold, surprise, surprise, she's still not happy. She literally comes back to the chair from the shampoo bowl. Her hair is soaking wet, okay? And immediately is like, oh no, this is not. I'm like, bitch, are you kidding me? First of all, your hair is sopping wet, okay? We all know, right? Especially if you have highlights, blonde, dimensional color, light colored hair. You know your hair is it looks different when it's wet versus when it's dry. Especially when it's freshly colored, freshly toned. And it's all like slicked back and, you know, whatever. Like, can you at least, and I said to her, I was like, can you at least let me dry it? Let me dry it first. Once it's dry, you can inspect it and look at it and then let me know how you feel. But like, it's sopping wet right now. What are you talking about? So then she says, well, I always wear my hair like this. I always wear my hair pulled back and wet. So it has to look good pulled back wet. This is the 4th time that I've sat in, you've sat in my chair. And actually, counting like the first consultation we ever did, this is the 5th time that I am interacting with you and talking about your hair color. This is the first time you've ever mentioned that to me. How come you weren't talking about your hair, how your hair looked wet the other times I did it? What? Also, which one is it? Do you want it to look a certain way, wet or dry? Because it can't look exactly the same. That's just how, like, think about even when you have like a shirt that's fresh out of the washing machine, wet. It looks different, right? The color is going to look a little different. It's going to look darker when it's wet versus when it's dry. Hello? That's just physics. That's nature. That's how it works. There's nothing I can do about it. Also, are you walking around with a water bottle in your purse, just constantly spraying your hair to keep it wet? Like, I don't understand. It's going to dry at some point, right? Like, how long is your hair staying wet for? Just ridiculous. So ridiculous. And that just gave me confirmation right there and then. Like, this person is just never going to be satisfied no matter what. No matter what, she's going to find something to complain about and be unhappy with. And when I dried it, like, it really just, it looked so good. But no, she just was hating on it. And oh, it's frustrating. Again, like, I had my whole day for you. All day. And that was another 4 or 5 hours working constantly the entire time. And you still, all right. She insisted that she needed to come back again. And that's when I should have told her, no, this is the best I have to offer you. I don't know what more you want. This is it. And if you're not happy with it, then we're not the right fit. I'm not the right stylist for you. Sorry. You can't come back. Because what else do you want me to do? Like, at this point, I don't know what more I can do for you. So, yeah, she was insisting on coming back again. So I blocked time out for her for later that week for her to come back. Stupid. But that whole time, I kept telling myself, like, the whole week, after that, because I think that appointment was at the beginning of the week, like on a Tuesday, and then she was going to come back that Friday. So all those days in between, I'm going through in my mind, I'm thinking about it. And I know my people pleasers, that feeling, like, especially as a hairstylist, like if you have a client that's unhappy or you just have any kind of bad interaction with a client, it eats at you and it's all you can think about, and you go over it in your head over and over and over. And when you know that you're going to like have another interaction with them, it's like, it's all you think about. And you're thinking about what you're going to say and playing out all the different scenarios in your mind of, well, what if she says this? What if she does this? How am I going to react? Just kind of wanting to be prepared and have like a script kind of ready to go in your mind, because when I get caught off guard in the moment, I just freeze because I'm like processing in my mind, like, wait, what? Seriously? Huh? What? And like, I just don't know what to say or what to do. And that's something that I still struggle with, and I know I need to work on, but especially when it's a situation where I don't feel like I'm in control. Normally, 99% of situations, I feel confident, I'm calm, cool, collected, I'm in control. Even if a client isn't happy with something, it's not a big deal. It's like, okay, no problem. Let's find the solution. Let's make tweaks, adjustments, whatever we need to do. But when it's a scenario where I'm not feeling in control and it's overwhelming and I'm already feeling like, I don't know, I feel like this little kid, So that whole week, I was just stressed and my anxiety was even worse than before, like literally through the roof, to the point where it was like physically affecting me. Like I could feel the stress and the tension in my body. It was affecting me so much that it was then negatively affecting all of my other appointments with other clients. And this is why I say it's not worth it to keep a client that stresses you out, or just a person in general in your life that's stressing you out and that you feel is always taking from you and not respecting your boundaries, because then it just ends up like bleeding into other areas of your life. And not only now did she take that time away from me that I spent, and I will say, at least with this client, she did always pay, and she always paid full price. I never like discounted her or anything like that. But now it's like, what about all of the time that I'm spending stressing and thinking about the interaction? Obviously it's on me, it's not on her, but still it's costing me in the long run. And I remember the following day after that last appointment with her, I had one of my clients that I've done a few times in the past, and I'm like so nervous as I'm doing her hair, and I'm second guessing myself, and I'm just thinking like, I suck. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm terrible at hair. I should consider a different career. I'm shaking. Remember I dropped my foiling comb multiple times during that appointment. And then at the end of it, I was like, oh my God, she's not going to be happy. She's not going to like this. This isn't good. I could have done so much better. And she ended up loving it. So much so that later that night, she texted me. And when I saw her name pop up and I saw the text, I was so nervous because I'm like, again, I'm in this moment where I'm feeling really insecure and doubting myself. And I was like, oh my God, she's texting me to tell me that something's wrong and that, she doesn't like it and I need to fix it. And oh my God, I suck. She was texting me to tell me that she came home and her husband saw her hair and loved it and how she's so happy with it and it looked so great and she just wanted to thank me again. And I was like, so nice. But I was still so negatively affected from the other client earlier that week that even getting that amazing feedback, it didn't matter because now I have total imposter syndrome and I'm like, oh, well, no, like I still suck. Well, I ended up doing a haircut. Actually, it was that same day. So it was before I got like the encouraging text. And I had cut this person's hair before and she was super happy with it and it was great. And so she was coming back in to do the same exact thing, same exact cut. Well, I was so nervous during that haircut and I was like, ugh, and I regret this so much because it's like, it just doesn't look good. It's just so unprofessional. But I remember I was kind of like venting during that appointment about how like, it's just been a stressful week. I had this appointment that, it really stressed me out. And anyway, I do the cut and everything seemed fine. But then a few days later, that client texted me saying that she noticed that there was like one side was a little bit uneven and she wasn't happy with the cut. And there wasn't anything I could do about it because she was about to go out of town. And I felt really bad too because it was for her birthday. And, normally my policy is if you're unhappy for whatever reason, as long as you let me know within the first week, I have you come back in and I just will redo it or make adjustments. I don't offer refunds. But with that situation, she couldn't come back in because she was about to leave to go out of town. So I ended up having to just refund her money. And to be completely honest, that client, the haircut client, never came back. She ended up canceling her next appointment and I haven't seen her since. And it's been several months now. So not only did I do that haircut and then had to refund it, and so I lost out on that money and that time, but I now also lost a client. And again, it's totally my fault. Like, it really is. But that's why I say, like, it's not worth it to keep people around that stress you out because you're just going to end up losing more in the long run. So yeah, that was like a really hard week for me and it was embarrassing and I just was feeling so bad. Like it was not a good week for my mental health and for my confidence and not good for my business. Friday, the day that she was supposed to come back for me to fix and make adjustments and tweaks or whatever, she texted me that morning to just cancel and said, never mind. And I don't know if she ended up going home and realizing that there was nothing to fix or tweak or what, I don't know. But it was kind of a relief. I was like, okay, well, now I don't have to have the uncomfortable like face-to-face confrontation with her. And I thought after that, all right, I should be good because it's not like this is the first and only time I've had a situation where I wasn't the right fit for someone and we weren't seeing eye to eye and, I wasn't able to give them what they wanted or they were, difficult to please or whatever. I've had plenty of people like that over these last 8 years. But every time, they just then don't come back. It's like we both are on the same page and it's pretty clear that like we're just not the right fit and it's fine and it's awkward and maybe I end up making a story time video on YouTube about the encounter, but I never hear from them again and it's all good. And I'm like, okay, cool, dodged a bullet. Why, if someone is not giving you what you want and it's that bad that you have to make a whole big thing about it in the chair and like, act as if it's terrible, why would you keep coming back to them? So I thought, all right, good. Hopefully I won't hear from her again. Well, fast forward a few months after that, she texts me trying to book an appointment again. And that's when I finally just fired her. And I had typed out a text message and I saved it in my notes because I was like, I'm not going to allow myself, because I think what had happened in the past too, between like the, first couple appointments at my old salon versus then when I was here in my suite, enough time had passed that I kind of forgot how she had made me feel. And I was sort of like, oh, maybe she wasn't that bad. Maybe I was just being dramatic, Let me give her another chance. Maybe it'll be fine. No. So I was like, in the moment, let me type out what I want to say to her. So that way I'm not caught off guard and I'm not, in the heat of the moment reacting on emotion or allowing myself to get like bamboozled or guilt tripped or anything like that. And this is what I really suggest if you are someone like this too. Having things kind of pre-planned and already written out so that you know exactly how you're going to handle these kinds of situations beforehand. Because having to decide how to respond in the moment when you're kind of like in flight or fight mode and you just, kind of freeze, it's really difficult. When I opened up my salon suite, I thought about, and this is why I say bad experiences, mistakes, just bad encounters you have with people, as hard as they are in the moment, always take it as a lesson learned. And it's just, later on down the line, it will just help you be better and help you avoid these situations. And this is why I like to share stories and I talk about experiences I've had, because I learn from all of this stuff and I want to help you guys learn from it too. So I've thought about things I've had, things I've experienced over the years doing hair and different situations I've been in. And I know now how I want to handle it differently moving forward. So I have salon policies and I have them listed on my website, typed out. They're also on my Instagram highlights. And I have, when people want to reach out for an appointment, I have a form that they have to fill out, and that is an absolute must for me. I've had a few people actually that have reached out and they're like, oh, do I have to fill out the form? Can I just, and I'm like, no, you have to fill it out. Like, this is a policy of the salon. This is my boundary. This is important. And while the people pleaser in me kind of sometimes is like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. You can just, no. I did these things for a reason. These are in place for a reason. And the second that, again, you start bending the rules a little bit, it just all falls apart. So, I have a form where I can get people's contact information, what they're looking to have done to their hair history, those kinds of things, so that it just also helps me to kind of screen people before I agree to let them come in and take them as a client, so that I can make sure that we're on the same page. It's the right fit. It's stuff that I feel comfortable doing, and to make sure that what they want is realistic, all of those things. And on the form, there's also a link then to the policies that are listed on my website, and you have to check that you agree, you've read and you agree to the policies. And that just kind of helps me then moving forward. If someone violates a policy or is trying to take advantage, I can be like, well, this is what my policy is. It's on my website. And look, here's your form where you checked that you read and agreed to them. And it just helps me moving forward, because then I don't have to wait for someone to like break the rules first and then enforce it. I can just be like, no, here are the rules and you have to agree to them in order to be my client. And if you don't want to follow it, then bye. I'm not going to take you. I have to respect my boundaries my business. So I have policies in place for like cancellations, last minute cancellations and no-shows and people that are late, adjustment policy if someone's unhappy with their hair, and obviously do what makes sense for you and for your business and what you feel comfortable with. But having a plan in place, I think, is really important so that you have something to follow for yourself so that you can stay consistent. I can kind of pick up now on the personality types that are going to maybe be difficult to deal with, and I just don't want to deal with it. I think for a long time, I would kind of look at certain things, like if there were red flags or something seemed like it was going to be difficult, I would be kind of take it as a challenge, like, all right, yeah, like challenge accepted. Let me prove to myself and to my coworkers and my boss that I am good and I can do this. I can handle it. I just want everyone to like me and to be happy. And like, there's nothing more satisfying than having someone that, they haven't been able to get what they want from other stylists, and then you're able to do it. Like my client that came down from Pennsylvania, that's like, oh, no one can cut my hair the way you do. Like, oh my God, that is the best feeling ever. Who doesn't want to hear that, right? But I'm kind of at a point now, and I think that comes with just maturing and with experience too. You're like, I don't need to prove shit, like, I know my worth, I know my abilities, I know my strengths, and I know my weaknesses. And I'm also just too tired to deal with the bullshit, Like if someone is going to be really difficult, I'm good. I'm good on that. Even someone that's like a very generous tipper, even if they're like, oh, I'll pay whatever, still, sorry, I really don't think any amount of money is worth having to deal with someone that stresses me out. It's just not. Because especially like I know myself, and my boyfriend being like, oh, well, whatever, just take the money and who cares? Like, don't go above and beyond. Don't stress yourself out about it. Just do the bare minimum, take their money, and then whatever. If they want to keep coming back, great, cool. I wish it could be that simple, but I just know myself, and I'm not that kind of person. I'm not able to not care. I had a lady actually last year, she filled out a form, and I was reading over it because she filled it out on a Friday afternoon, and it was actually Veterans Day weekend, and my mom was in town visiting me. So it's a holiday weekend, a long holiday weekend, and I have family in town. And it's Friday afternoon. I finish work. I go to dinner with my mom. And as we're waiting for our food, I just kind of check my emails out of habit, and I see that someone submitted a form. So I open it up, and I'm picking up on several red flags immediately. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know about this. But again, I had just opened my business a couple months before, and I'm like, I don't know. And I'm so glad. I feel like the universe had my back, because I probably would have ended up letting this client come in, and I don't know how that would have ended up going. But I looked at the form, and I stopped myself. I was like, it's now like Friday evening, dinner time. It's the weekend. It's a holiday. Your family is here. This is your boundary. And it even says on the form, like, please allow 24 to 48 hours for a response, more if it's, a holiday or weekend or whatever. So, don't reach out to her. Don't do that right now. Like, be in the moment, be present with your mother, and enjoy your weekend. And you can get back to her Tuesday morning. Well, Saturday morning, literally less than 24 hours later, she reached out to me on Instagram, DM'd me, and was like, I submitted a form. How long till I get a response? Because I'm just trying to decide if I should just reach out to somebody else, because I haven't gotten a response yet. Are you kidding me? So yeah, immediately I'm like, no, this is someone clearly, like I was already getting a weird vibe from what she was saying in the form, but clearly this is someone that doesn't respect boundaries. Like, what? And is just very like entitled, and I was just picking up on, this is probably someone that would try to take advantage and like demand things from you and try to overstep. I especially then was like, I'm gonna wait definitely till Tuesday before I respond. And then I did reply to her DM and was, like, it was a holiday, I had family in town kind of thing. And luckily I never heard from her again, so I dodged that bullet. But yeah, I try to be more aware and look out for these things. And it's tough because as someone that is, empathetic, I try to I feel for people. And I get that, like I said before, sometimes some people make not the best first impression. And I don't like to judge people or make assumptions about them. And I don't want to be this like cold person. I want to be like approachable and friendly and caring and kind and all of those things, but you have to protect yourself, because think about how it affects you if you don't. And then what is that going to do for the people in your life or, at work, in your business, that do respect you, that are great and wonderful and don't cause you any kind of problems or stress? You want to show up for them the best way that you can and be the best version of yourself. And if you're allowing negative people to just tear away at you and stress you out, it's going to change how you behave and how you show up for the good people. And that's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. So it's really important to have boundaries and to stick to them. And I think that's what it is like creating boundaries and like policies. But even if it's not work related, like having boundaries in your personal life too, of like, this is what's important to me. These are my conditions. This is what I'm willing to do. This is what I'm not. And sticking to that and letting it be known. And if someone doesn't want to respect that, you don't have to put up with them. They don't need to be a part of your life or a client or a friend or, Oh, I had another situation recently. I had a new client that texted me. I guess she got my number online, texted me wanting to come in and almost like kind of demanding, because she lives in the same complex as my salon suite. And she wanted to just come down really quick for a consultation. And I'm like, no. But there was a small part of me that almost was like, okay, yeah, what's the big deal? Like, you just want to come down to like talk and have a consultation. Yeah, that's fine. I can stay. I almost stayed because I was fully booked that day, and she literally reached out to me at like 3 p.m, So I didn't have time during the day, but I was like, well, I guess I could stay just like another like 10 or 15 minutes after my last client just to do a consultation. But then I was like, no, no. That's like outside of my scheduled hours that I set for myself. And like, why? I don't know this person. Why should I do that? And she was trying to come in without filling the form out first. So like, I don't even know who this person is. I have no information. So I stuck to my boundaries and I said, no, I'm sorry. You have to fill the form out first. I don't have time to meet with you today, but we can schedule another time. And she was kind of being a little difficult because her work schedule is like very demanding and her free time is kind of limited. That's not my problem. And old me would have been like, well, I can come in on my day off, or I could stay late, or I could do, whatever to work around your schedule to make it work for you. No, 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 no. Why? Why? No, like, but that's just my natural instinct. So yeah, didn't do that. And she ended up coming in, and I did her hair one time, and it was just like a basic root color and a toner and stuff. And she seemed happy with it, and everything was fine. And it was, again, kind of a situation where I was like, oh, well, okay. She seems nice. She liked her hair. Everything was fine. Another example of maybe not the best first impression, but it ended up being fine. Well, then she ended up texting me a month or two later and was like, I need my roots done, but I want to just do it myself at home. What did you use on me? So I just gave her kind of like a vague answer, like, oh, just like a natural level 6. But then she was like asking more questions, and then she's sending me pictures of the color that she has at home. Oh, is this good? Can I use this? Like wanting to know, like, oh, how do I mix and what ratio and what da-da-da-da-da. And again, old me would have been like, oh, let me be helpful. No. This is information that like, and I do YouTube videos. Obviously, I have some videos like tutorials where I kind of explain how to do your hair color at home. I'm fine with, if you want to color your hair at home, I'm fine with that. But do your research, watch some videos, Google. At this point with ChatGPT, I keep forgetting that this is a thing now, but like, I mean, you could literally just go on that and it'll probably tell you exactly what to do. But the information is available to you. Get the information and figure it out for yourself. You're asking me to literally just spoon feed you for free. Like, this is something that I spent $20,000 to go to school to get a license to be able to do this and to learn how to do this correctly. And then all of the years of experience getting good at it. Why should I just directly give you that information so that you can then do something for free to avoid having to pay me for the service? It's like kind of disrespectful too, I think. Because it's not like you're my friend. Like, I literally met you one time. I did your hair one time. Like, excuse me? I was proud of myself. I just responded and I said, I'm sorry, but I just don't feel comfortable giving you that information. Because again, I mean, truly, liability reasons. Because then I don't want you doing it and then doing something wrong, misunderstanding what I'm saying or whatever, not listen, and then it doesn't come out right, or you mess up, whatever, and then try to blame me for it. Like, no. Or want to come back in for me to fix it for you. No. I don't even want to go there with it. So yeah, I'm definitely getting better. But I think it's something that's always going to be a work in progress. Also pausing to think. Like, one thing I remember hearing online a few years ago was like, if someone asks you something, rather than giving them an immediate response, because like in the moment you might just want to be like agreeable, telling them that you'll let them know later. Whether you just, if it's a text, not responding right away and just thinking on it, or if you're, being asked face to face, just being like, actually, I'm not totally sure. Let me think about it and get back to you. And then giving yourself like 24 hours to kind of sleep on it, think about it, and really decide if you feel comfortable saying yes or not. And then that way you don't feel the pressure, like giving the answer in the moment. So yeah, that's my experience as a people pleaser. Sorry, I totally lost track of that original story. So the difficult client, she ended up texting me a few months later and was trying to book an appointment again. And so I had the text already saved in my notes app, which was very helpful. And I also didn't respond right away, because I remember when I first saw the text, I was just like, oh my God, I got filled with all this like dread and my heart started to race a little bit. I was like, oh no, just seeing her name, I was like, I'm just gonna wait to be more calm when I respond. So that's what I did. And I just said, here, I'll read you the exact message. I was like second guessing myself, and I was thinking like, oh, is this too harsh? Is this too bitchy? Do I need to like explain myself a little more? Should I be, like fluff it up and make, no. And I caught myself. I was like, why do I feel the need to do that? Just keep it professional, but concise and very firm. Don't give her an opportunity to try to like weasel her way back in or, undermine what you're saying. So I just said, hey, blank. Our last few appointments together left me feeling like I'm not the right fit as your hairstylist since you've never been 100% happy with the results, so I don't feel comfortable booking any future appointments. Thanks for understanding. I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. Boom. Just left it at that. And then, she responded like, oh, well, I've never had an issue with your haircut, but I understand. Take care. Something like that. And I'm grateful that it ended up happening the way it did, because it definitely was a lot easier to say that in a text message than having to have like the face-to-face conversation. But that's something that I really need to work on, is getting better being firm and direct face-to-face, and like kind of taking that power back and taking the control back in those kinds of situations. But yeah, so let me know. Send me an email, literallydyingpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know if you have any like similar stories or any situations that have happened to you that, or, any advice that you might have. If you are not already subscribed, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. Just double check, because sometimes I know some people think they're subscribed, or they were subscribed at one point and they end up getting unsubscribed. So double check that you're subscribed, hit the little bell and have all the notifications turned on so that you will get notified every time I post. I'm still trying to stick to Mondays as my upload days, but there's some weeks like this week where things happen and it might get a little thrown off. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I will see you soon. Bye. Still trying to decide if I want to do like an outro music or something. I don't know. Let me know what you think. For now, we'll just bye.